this is actually something I was talking about with my friend the other day, and about how being in the military, we get all these vaccines, we only know what the hell is in them, and what I suggest is that, I mean, we can't afford, to put our special forces on the line, and give them the vaccine. I mean, it's their choice if they want one, but they shouldn't be forced to, because this is not FDA regulated, or it's not FDA approved. Granted, the FDA is just a bunch of nonsense and let's approve anything, and then a few years later be like, oh, we made a mistake. But it doesn't make sense to put more than half the force under this vaccine, because there could be side effects. I mean, pilots, so much training goes into pilots. Special operators, it'd just be better to keep them isolated. I mean, not like completely isolated, but you got to protect them, and because we don't need the vaccine to go away. Because especially for a special operator, smell is so important. Yeah, it's if you can't smell that, there's something that's dead around and stuff. There might be a wild predator on loose in the area of operations, or you might not be able to smell someone's cigarette. Find out, oh hey, someone's right around the bend. There's someone. Okay, there's just these things. So I just don't believe that the entire military should go through it. Those who are extraordinarily vulnerable, I guess that's a different topic. But I really, only 30%, 33% should be like guinea pigs for this thing, at best. But we already go through all the vaccines as it is. So let's just look through this. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is vowing he won't let grass grow under our feet as the department begins to implement the new vaccine testing directives. Basically, no grassroots movements. But Pentagon officials on Friday were scrambling to figure out how to enact and enforce the changes across the vast military population and determine which National Guard and reserve troops should be affected by the orders. So there's National Guard and reserve troops, because that's the thing is, maybe the bases are ready. I mean, they're pretty much under quarantine anyways, if you're on base. Because not everyone can go on there. There's not, a lot of freedom of movement stuff. So the Pentagon now has two separate missions following President Biden's announcement Thursday aimed at increasing COVID vaccines in the federal workforce. The Defense Department must develop plans to make the vaccine mandatory for the military and set up new requirements for federal workers who will have to either attest to COVID-19 vaccination or face frequent testing and travel restrictions. Austin said that the department will move expeditiously, but added that he can't predict how long it will take. He said he plans to consult with medical professionals as well as the military service members or leaders. Any plan to make the vaccine mandatory will require a waiver signed by Biden, because the Food and Drug Administration has not yet approving the vaccine final. Formal approval. According to federal law, the requirement to offer individuals a choice of accepting or rejecting use of emergency use vaccine may only be waived by the president. Only if the president determines in writing that comply with such requirement is not in the interest of national security. Mandating the vaccine prior to the FDA approval will likely trigger opposition from vaccine opponents and drag the military into political debates over what has become a highly divisive issue in America. Military commanders, however, have also struggled to separate vaccinated recruits from those not vaccinated during early portions of basic training across the services in order to prevent infections. So, for some, a mandate could make training and housing less complicated. Military service members are already required to get as many as 17 different vaccines depending on where they are based around the world. Some of the vaccines are specific to certain regions. Military officials have said the pace of vaccines has been growing across the force, with some units seeing nearly 100% of their members get shots. According to the Pentagon, more than 1 million service members are fully vaccinated, and another 233,000 have gotten at least one shot. There are roughly 2 million active duty, Guard, and Reserve troops. The vaccine mandate will also raise questions about whether the military services will discharge troops who refuse to get the vaccine. National Guard officials said initial guidance suggests that Guard troops who initially refused the vaccine once as mandatory will receive counseling from medical personnel. If they still refuse, they would be ordered to take it. If failure to follow that order could result in administration and punitive action. On Friday, Guard officials said leaders were still nailing down legal recommendations on which citizen soldiers should be affected by the new requirements and who would not. Officials said it appears the bulk of the Guard would eventually have to get the vaccine when it is mandated. Guard troops on federal active duty would be given the vaccine in their units where they are deployed, and others would get it if they report to their monthly drill weekend or annual training. The system, according to Guard officials, would resemble any other vaccine requirement. Guard members who are on the state active duty would not be subject to the requirement initially because they are subject to the state laws, but once they return to monthly drill, the order would apply to them. Guard officials spoke. So basically, what is coming out is the military is going to make everyone get the vaccine where they want it or not, and I guarantee that there's going to be special provisions like the ones I stated earlier in regards to special operations and pilots at critical roles, the full spectrum soldiers. Take care, be safe, be kind, stay strong. Love y'all.